The news said the war was over, but it certainly wasn't for veterans. Our veterans were finally coming home after 20 years of war. Greeted like this. My name is Dave Hansen. I was drafted in October of '66. I joined the Air Force and I was assigned to security police. I remember that plane to Vietnam. No one knew each other. I took a middle seat. No one talked. Maybe all were nervous about Vietnam. I eventually fell asleep, but I woke to a voice. "David, I will protect you." I landed at my base and was immediately asked if I was qualified in an M60 machine gun. I was. A door gunner on a chopper was sick that morning and I was ordered to take his place. The pilot told me that Charlie wasn't in the area. He knew it was my first day. 20 minutes into the flight, I saw bullet holes in the fuselage. The pilot rolled and I saw the muzzle flashes in the dark jungle. I fired at those flashes so hard, I thought I'd break the trigger. And the pilot screamed, "Your first day and you got 6 to 8 kills." I was too scared to care. I worked with night ambush teams testing a handheld ground radar unit that separated movement of animals from humans by sound. When I detected human movement, it got pretty intense as we laid in wait to fire. I often tracked enemy movements some 600 and 800 yards out and called in mortar strikes on their location. Early one morning, 6 zappers skirted the radar somehow. The K9 unit alerted, and we all had a close-in encounter. I fired the M60 as the return fire ricocheted off the steel tower wall. My 60 jammed. I opened the cover to find a shell stuck in the chamber. I shouldn't have, but I pried it out with my knife. It cooked off, blowing my knife out of my hand and burnt my face. The chamber was clear. I reloaded and continued firing. It was so intense, I melted the barrel of the M60 to the gun that night. There were many more instances, but my tour was up. Time for me to go home. Again, I came home alone with some 300 GIs I didn't know. But when we lifted off, the screams were unanimous. We landed at Fort Lewis Army Camp, and we were bused to the Seattle airport. Our group of 20 was surrounded by protesters screaming and calling us names like baby killers. One protester spit in the face of the Marine beside me. We never expected such hate. We ran to the USO for refuge. When I got home, no one mentioned Vietnam. No one welcomed me home. It was like I was never there. I never mentioned Vietnam after that, and I buried everything for years. I did do some unusual things like checking the door locks and the windows in our house every night, hiding axe handles and shovel handles behind several doors for security. I hid a 9mm between the mattress and the box spring so carefully I could pull it out, cock, and fire in seconds. I couldn't even walk in our woods at night for fear of a twig that snapped or movement in the trees. And I didn't even know it was called PTSD. After that, I started having visions of that first day in the chopper, and then zappers running through our house at night. It was plain as day. I didn't know it was called flashbacks either. After all that, it led to 3 attempts at suicide, and the last was in April of 2015. There I was, sitting on the kitchen floor with a butcher knife, contemplating suicide. I thought of my wife finding me. I just couldn't do it. I called the VA suicide hotline, and I saw a psychologist that night who put me into a program called prolonged immersion. I was to record my most traumatic experiences and listen to them every night over and over. I just couldn't do it. I was blubbering on those tapes, and I didn't want my family to hear it. My therapist then suggested watching Vietnam movies. There was Good Morning Vietnam, Platoon, and then Apocalypse Now, which was the most challenging for me. I was seeing success. I watched the most difficult segments many times and saw my anxiety levels drop. My last task was to walk into our woods at night and stand there. I finally did it after 2 nights. That was now 6 years ago. Still no nightmares, flashbacks, or thoughts of suicide. And I walk in our woods at night without fear. Success. Not everyone who lost his life in Vietnam died there. Not everyone who came home ever left. I don't know who originally wrote that, but it's true. I believe it was God that whispered in my ear that night on the plane to Vietnam. It was He that protected me at every turn. I came home physically unscathed, but I had scars that didn't show. Those scars are now mostly healed. I don't consider myself a hero. I did my job. The real heroes are those who were wounded, those who didn't come home alive, and those still missing in action. We need to honor our veterans. We need to be the voice that protects and leads them back to wholeness. That's why we've created the Heroes Honors Festival, a patriotic celebration that will change history. Join us in welcoming home our Vietnam veterans.